Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are getting back to talking about the Muppet Show as we begin season 5, the very last season of the Muppet Show. And we're watching it, as we always do, in the New York airing order that is listed on Muppet Wiki. And I know there are times when Muppet Wiki has gotten dates wrong on things, and sometimes dates have changed after we've talked about things and said,
Oh,
hey,
no, they have?
yeah,
Oh.
but we want to watch everything.
How do you notice something like that?
Because I hear it talked about on other podcasts that are doing the work of going in and making those corrections. Because specifically on Muppet-turgy, one of them has a subscription to the New York Times, and so they'll go back and check the dates in the TV listings that it says it was airing in New York, which is sometimes just like different than it says on Muppet Wiki. And obviously they could re-air it. It could have been shown twice that week, whatever. But I think specifically in a couple seasons they say that, like, if you look on Muppet Wiki, all the dates are on like Saturdays. But in the New York Times it said it was still airing on like Monday nights at 7:30. So who knows? All this to say that we're going with the information that we've got because we want to watch everything in as close to chronological order as we can, of the chronological order that the people back then would have been watching it in.
Somewhere out there's somebody with a diary who wrote down every episode of The Muppet Show they watched at the time and the date. And that's really what we got to find.
So, we watched the 3 episodes that aired between September 20th, 1980 and October 4th, 1980, which are the episodes featuring guests Carol Burnett, Roger Moore, and Shirley Bassey. But that's not all. We also watched an interview with Jane Henson discussing the opening of the Art of the Muppets exhibit. So we'll discuss that interview and that exhibit as well. But first, Sam, as we approach season 5, I have a question for you. Who's the worst Muppet?
I still think it's Beauregard.
Yeah. I pulled up our ranking spreadsheet that Arden very kindly has made for us and kept up to look at what Muppets in the past we have rated quite low. And I asked Twitter as well, so we have some recommendations coming in from Twitter as we speak of who is the worst Muppet. Because I've seen a lot of arguments on Twitter about who the best Muppets are and about if Elmo's better than Grover or Big Bird and all this stuff.
I saw that Elmo-Grover conversation going on.
Yeah, and you know what? At this point, what's the best is kind of boring to me because I understand everyone's point of view pretty much when it comes to best Muppet. Like, I understand people who love Grover or love Rolf or love Kermit, but some people's opinions on worst Muppet, I feel like, are more interesting to me.
I feel like you could come up with an actual universally accepted answer to who the worst Muppet is.
And that's what I am wondering about because, like, we've been a little harsh in our rankings at times. I think some of them we have even maybe gone back and regretted a little bit. Specifically for you, I think early on, you were very harshly against Robin as a character.
Robin, but Robin's not the worst Muppet. Robin's great.
You also rated Thog a 0. In our score, which is the lowest score you ever gave any Muppet.
I think personality-wise, Thog is the worst. Sucks. I think he is the worst Muppet in that I hate seeing him and he's a creep. But I think you got to take construction into account as well. In which case, I don't think you could really call him the worst Muppet.
What about Timmy Monster then?
He looks like shit. So I don't know. I don't know well enough.
I think the thing is, like, there's a few categories here that make the worst Muppet. I think sometimes it is like just a general gross look.
Yeah.
I think it's an unimpressive look. I think it is like like there can be like a really gross whatnot type of Muppet that it's like it looks like it was slapped together in an hour and has a gross personality, and it's like, okay, is that the worst Muppet? Or is it
so
somebody...
you're even taking like singular one appearance Muppets into account?
Yeah, a little bit, because I'm
Okay.
thinking of so for instance, I asked some people on Twitter, and their opinions varied quite a bit. One person suggested the Ghost of Christmas Past from the Muppet Christmas Carol. I think that's based on fear alone of her creepy little face.
That's a kind of answer. You're supposed to be like, that Muppet's creepy. She's fine.
Right, she's not the worst. She's very creepy.
Yeah, but on purpose.
Somebody suggested Chop Liver, who I think is not a great Muppet overall. Design-wise, pretty bad. Use, pretty bad. No personality that we have really seen so far.
That's a really good answer.
Because it is just like a lump of foam with some like tubes shoved in for arms.
Who looks simultaneously like a nude adult man and like a chicken.
Oh, sorry, you're thinking of Chicken Liver.
Oh, who's Chopped Liver?
Chopped Liver was the one who showed up a couple times on the Muppet Show.
I'm fine with Chopped Liver. He has cool sunglasses, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like if Menomina went through a meat grinder or something.
Yeah. If you have cool sunglasses, you can't be the worst Muppet. I'm sorry.
Chicken Liver might be in the running.
Chicken Liver
though.
might be the worst Muppet.
Somebody else suggested the Glutton that we saw the clip of on Ed Sullivan. It's one of the clips that I have struggled to get through the most because he's just making a bunch of gross eating noises.
That's a gross one.
Chip, the IT Muppet, who is one of my personal not favorites.
I'm excited to watch Jim Henson Hour because he's in that, and I want to see what he's like in that.
Yeah, I'm curious about his evolution because in the 2015 series, I do not enjoy Chip anytime he's on screen. So,
I think he's a cool Muppet, though, and I think the Glutton's a cool
don't like
Muppet,
it.
too.
I do not like his weird blinking mechanism.
I like his blinking pupils. I think that's cool.
Just his pupils blink. It's the weirdest thing. But yeah, I was just thinking about this of like, okay, who is the worst Muppet? And I think like we've also talked down Crazy Harry and New Zealand, Beauregard, obviously, George the Janitor.
Yeah.
We also, surprisingly, I think, looking back on it, we ranked the Gorch Muppets pretty low.
I kind of remember that. And a lot of them they just weren't very funny. But then they got funny towards the end.
I think they were like a victim of their circumstance. Or like, I think looking back on them, they are better than we gave them credit for. But I think there's also a lot of very unfunny stuff that happens in those. And some of the Muppets are like created for that are not great. But like a couple of the main ones, like Scred and Plubus, I think are very well designed and can be interesting at times.
I always hated when like their stoner son would show up. I hated that guy. He's pretty low on my list.
Or just the one, the sexy, like
the one whose
Gorch.
boobs were out.
Yeah, the
she
sexy
was really
Gorch
bad
Muppet.
as well.
Yeah. So I think this will be a conversation that will continue throughout the history of this podcast. We'll find new Muppets to dislike as we watch more and more content. But for now, I don't know if we can make an overall
You haven't even
call.
given an answer, you coward. Who do you think's the worst Muppet?
I've given my opinion on some of these. For a while, Marvin Suggs was one of my least favorites, but he is
he's great.
he worked his way up there in his last appearance.
Yeah.
I still don't love Beauregard. I think he's still pretty low on my list. Crazy Harry, I don't think I would say he's the worst, but he's down there as well. The worst Muppet is probably going to be one of these one-off TV appearance Muppets where it's just like, oh, okay, you made that for some reason. I think like a lot of the humans in Musicians of Bremen are probably high on that list because they're pretty terrible.
Pretty nasty, yeah.
And some of those random Ed Sullivan or TV commercial puppets could be, I think, pretty low on my list as well, just because.
We got to go back through and rewatch everything.
Why? Why would you say that?
With a real eye on which one's the worst one.
We're starting a new podcast where we watch everything that happens in the Muppets, but we only talk about the quality of the Muppets themselves, not the content
Well,
itself.
we don't even have to do that. If we can immediately say, that one's not the worst one, then we can move on. At 4:30, this Muppet appeared. Is this the worst Muppet? No. Next. That's all we got to do. Each one could be like 30 seconds long.
I think Chicken Liver might be the right answer.
I think it might be too. I have it written down here, and I keep underlining it and thinking about it.
Well, and I have a group photo of the Sam and Friends puppets up in front of me right now, and I'm like, all of them are pretty charming, and it's a shame that we didn't see them more. And chicken liver's the only one that I'm like, yeah, but he could stay in the past.
And we saw so much of him compared to the other ones, too.
Could you imagine? It's not going to happen on the Muppets Mayhem, but could you imagine the Sam and Friends gang showing up on some Muppet thing that's happening like now? Like they go to like some sort of like they go to a puppet convention or like some sort of like entertainer, like Comic-Con type thing for them.
Yeah.
I'm writing the Chippendale version of the Muppets is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But when they go there, Sam and Friends are there taking photos and signing things.
And they're so old.
Yeah.
But would Kermit know them, or would they recognize?
Oh, absolutely.
So Kermit didn't know them, or would old Kermit be there as well?
No, I don't think you can do that. I think you have to have Kermit know them, but it's like this is a very weird comparison. But it's like like when they'll advertise that like NSYNC is going to perform in the MTV Movie Awards, but not Justin Timberlake.
Is that a thing that happens sometimes?
Oh yeah, like occasionally the NSYNC boys will go do something, but JT's not around.
That's the beauty of the Backstreet Boys. None of them got famous enough.
Yeah, none of them really broke out on their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there could be a thing where Kermit shows up and maybe Harry the Hipster's like, oh man, I remember when I gave you that collar. It looks great on you.
Or Muppets Most Wanted could have been Sam and Friends Kermit versus new Kermit.
That's not bad. That's pretty good. Taking an already established character. I would like, and I know we get to see them at least one more time. They show up in the 30th anniversary celebration where all the other ones do, but I know they get a moment where like Kermit talks about them and they like show them sitting at a table. I don't think we see all of them, but we do get to see at least, I think, Sam, Harry, and Yorick.
Do they rebuild? Well, I'll wait and see.
I don't think so. I think they just let the whatever existed at the time
just be
was
nasty.
on screen. Yeah.
I don't want to put my hand in that.
Well, let's go ahead and get into what we watched this week. So, Sam, tell the people what we watched this week.
It's September 20th, 1980, 4 days until Jim's birthday. Speaking of, do you think that he watched The Muppet Show when it aired? I don't know.
I think he's too busy.
Yeah, probably not. My gut said probably not.
I mean, he's currently like filming The Great Muppet Caper during this time. So I think specifically right now, like he's finished filming all the Muppet Show at this point. He's filming a movie, so he's probably very focused on that.
That's true. He's on to the next thing. But
he's probably getting a call from like Lord Lou Great afterwards of like, Jim, it did great. I don't know why Lord Lou Great sounded like Nixon a little bit.
Why did he sound like?
I'm pretty sure he's British, but that's the best I got right now.
Well, if Jim was in New York on the 20th in 1980, possibly he switched on the TV out of curiosity and saw that night, as the season 5 premiere of The Muppet Show, the station was airing the Carol Burnett episode. In this episode, Jim remembers to himself, Carol is very excited to be on the show, but is informed by Kermit that Gonzo has organized a dance marathon, which is a contest where couples dance continuously until they can't dance anymore physically and fall to the ground, and the last couple standing is the winner. Carol is, understandably, pretty mad about this, because this seems to mean that she won't be getting to sing and do skits and do all the stuff that she had planned, and she turns out to be mostly right. She kind of tries to do a musical number, but it's interrupted by the people dancing around her. She kind of freaks out at him and screams at him, and then kind of tries to suffer through more of the show until finally she storms off to her dressing room to pack her things and go. Kermit rushes to her and tells her that he wants her to stay and do her famous Lonely Asparagus sketch, to which she excitedly agrees. However, like 2 seconds later, he totally blows her off and tells her that she still has to wait until the competition is over to do her sketch. Carol then takes things into her own hands and goads the dancers into going faster and faster until they all pass out, but by then, it's too late and the show is over. Sorry, Carol. Stand-up moments for this episode include the overarching plot, especially, I think, the way that it bled over into all of the skits and everything in the show, like Pigs in Space does At the Dance at the same time as Pigs in Space. I also like the initial At the Dancey portion, mostly because I think it always works to have the guest star integrated into the reoccurring sketches. There's also a great bit where Scooter gets uppercutted off the backstage balcony. Carol Burnett is a comedian, a singer, a vaudevillian in the truest sense, most famous probably for her long-running sketch comedy show, The Carol Burnett Show, which ran for 11 seasons on CBS and won 25 Emmys. She was also the first celebrity on Sesame Street, if you remember. For about 1 millisecond, her face appears. In 1980, the Carol Burnett show was over, and she was, at least according to Wikipedia, kind of trying to figure out what was next for Carol Burnett. She's still alive and was apparently on Better Call Saul last month, but I don't watch that show, so I didn't see her. Next up, September 27th, reigning at the time James Bond, Roger Moore, brings a touch of class to the Muppet Show. But wouldn't you know it, Beauregard screwed up Kermit's plans for the final big number by rounding up a bunch of pies instead of a bunch of spies, because you see, he's very stupid. So Kermit calls up the Secret Service, I guess like the President's Secret Service, and orders some actual spies who, for some reason, are evil and want to kill Roger, who in this episode is basically interchangeable with James Bond, and they plan to do so in the final act. Roger reveals to Kermit that he doesn't actually want to do a spy number for the finale, but instead wants to sing Talk to the Animals from Dr. Dolittle. This is no matter to the...
Sing is very generous there, Sam.
Okay,
he wants to
true.
talk to the animals.
I was watching it with Rachel, and she was like, "Does he sing?" And I said, "I guess so. All British people sing." And then I think at the end, she said he didn't sing.
He doesn't sing. I can't tell if he thinks he's singing.
I think he thinks he could do anything, is my guess. Yes. But this is no matter to the spies, who are masters of disguise. So they dress up as cute little animals, invade the final act, and then are murdered horribly by Roger. Standout moments include an okay first act with Vikings that leads to an actually pretty good vet's hospital, and then the last Dr. Dolittle skit with the spies and Roger killing them is really good, mostly because the lyrics are rewritten to be about murdering and doing violence to animals instead of talking to them and being friends, which I thought was pretty funny. Otherwise, kind of an unmemorable episode in my opinion. Roger Moore was, as I mentioned, James Bond for 7 films, from Live and Let Die to A View to a Kill, which was in 1985, so he was still big-time bonding in this episode of The Muppet Show.
That's kind of wild. I thought for sure he was done by this point.
Me too. I get him confused with George Lazenby, because Live and Let Die is so bad that I think of that as the George Lazenby movie that everybody hated, but it's not. But yeah, I thought he was done too. Before Bond, Moore was a big TV actor in England and in America, and at one point he was the highest paid TV actor in the whole world. And the show where he was the highest paid actor in the whole world was produced by ITC, which is the Lou Grade thing, right?
Yep, it's the same like TV production company that does the Muppet Show.
So he was a friend of the family. And then after Sean Connery stopped being Bond and George Lazenby's tenure as Bond flopped horribly, Roger got the role, and the rest is history. On Wikipedia, it kind of seemed to imply that either he thought or he was in contention to originally be Bond in the first place. But I couldn't figure out what exactly it was trying to say. He was really busy on TV and couldn't do it. But I think maybe he thought he was supposed to be Bond from the beginning.
Don't we all, Sam?
Yeah, I guess so. He is also, of course, a knight. Next, October 4th, 1980, Shirley Bassey, singer of the theme to the 007 movie Goldfinger, maybe coincidentally, I don't really know why we got 2 Bond people this season, but we did, is the Muppets guest, and Kermit really wants to put together an entirely gold set for her to sing her most famous song. Unfortunately, they ain't got any gold paint, so Scooter does the next best thing and rents a bunch of real gold from an armored car driver named Bruno, who he runs into. Bruno is super protective of the gold, which, of course, immediately starts to go missing. Bruno misplaces his suspicions on Kermit, but the real culprit is, in fact, Beaker and Bunsen, who have made a machine that turns gold into cottage cheese. This has no real bearing on anything at all, and hardly seems worth mentioning. In the end, as Shirley sings Goldfinger, a bunch of pigs steal the gold during the number, and I guess it's real that they're stealing the gold, because at the end, Bruno is mad, he thinks Shirley has stolen the gold and arrests her. And then that's kind of the end. Standouts include a weird little act in which 2 kind of Kuzbanian-looking dudes do a little duet where one plays its nose like a trumpet and the other shoots balls out of its head very forcefully. Shirley also sings Pennies from Heaven to a sad Fozzie, during which real pennies rain from the sky, and that's not like amazing or anything, but Shirley does look very annoyed every time they fall, which is pretty funny, and all the Muppets are very excited that they get to get some money. Shirley Bassey is a Welsh singer who sang several James Bond themes, Goldfinger, Diamonds Are Forever, and Moonraker. She had a successful recording career before and after Bond, and has a really long, complicated Wikipedia full of successes, arrests, variety shows, performances for the Queens, kind of all the ups and downs of a super famous British person. But what's really important is that she is also a knight.
Well,
she's a dame.
yeah.
She's the same rank as Roger Moore. They are equally knight-like.
And she's still out there kicking as well.
Yeah.
She has an Instagram that she seems not terribly active on, but she was
But
on there.
she's like 80 years old, so
Yeah.
leave her alone.
Well, she was out there, I checked out her Instagram, and it was like, I don't know, last year she posted a picture of herself like in a bathing suit hanging out by the pool, so.
Yeah. I feel like we've done a couple of British old lady singers who are still just like really out there living life, which is great. And then we also watched that interview with Jane Henson, which I didn't write much about, except that it features a deconstructed nude Janice. Did you notice that?
I don't think I did notice that.
Yeah. It's like Janice's head mounted. Anyway, the interview is about a museum show or like a traveling show. I'm not really sure what kind of show it is.
I've got more information about it, don't worry.
Great. Okay. So it's about a museum show of the Muppets where you can go. You can see Big Bird. You can see different Muppets, some of which are deconstructed and nude. And they're kind of just talking to Jane about the history of the Muppets, asking her a bunch of questions about things I'm not sure she's so involved in, implying that she helped create Big Bird, which I'm not sure is true. I guess I just don't know enough about Jane Henson to know what in here was true or not. And also, was she like, you have more information, was she overseeing the creation of this? How did she get roped into this? Everyone else was just too in England to talk to this person?
Yeah, we can go ahead and touch on this exhibit and on this interview a little bit first. Because, I don't know the specifics of why Jane is the one who got roped into this, but I do like that they, finally put some respect on Jane's name, something that we have not seen any of really in everything we've watched from the
It's
first.
great that she gets credit for a bunch of stuff she probably didn't really have anything
I
to
think
do
she
with.
did have a lot of stuff to do with that.
You
I think
think so?
she's the co-creator of the Muppets, Sam.
Was she around for Sesame Street stuff, though?
I honestly don't know if
Okay.
she had a firsthand if she was like hands-on with that, but I have to assume she was at least an advisor or a consultant on a lot of those things because she
Right.
was so integral to the creation of the Muppets at the beginning. But thankfully, when they do give her credit for things like Big Bird, she is sure to call out Kermit Love and Carol Spinney for bringing Big Bird to life.
And not Jim.
Well, no, yeah, 'cause that's fair. Yeah, I mean,
think so too. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, because I think it's a little bit her job to be there and be like, yeah, Jim didn't do everything by himself. Like you have to understand that Jim is not the only person making everything. But I think the way she talks about the puppets is something that like we have not really heard any of the people who are like on the inside talk about them, which was kind of nice because like. The woman interviewing her is Nancy Nelson, who is apparently like hugely famous in the Minneapolis area news world. Like she worked there for like 50 years in all of different parts of the news. But this is obviously a little earlier in her career. But yeah, it was whenever she would call out things of like, oh yeah, the first Kermit looks a little rough, and like Jane's like, no, the first Kermit's the most beautiful.
Yeah, I like that too. That was kind of rude of that lady to say, though.
Yeah, which I understand. It's like when you're talking about this stuff, it's like if you don't know enough and you just see this like worn down old Kermit with no fringe and stuff, and you're like, oh, what's that gross thing? Is he made from a coat? Gross. I also had the realization during this that apparently all the Henson kids look just like Jane. Which I never really put that together before. Like I never really looked at pictures of like the parents side by side with the kids, but like seeing her there talking, I was like, that's all the kids I've seen in interviews. Like that's their face. But yes, Jane Henson, I don't think we'll see much from her after this either. Like she doesn't do a lot of public facing things, unfortunately. So we don't get to hear a lot.
She did some interviews after Jim died, right? Am I imagining?
Yeah, and I think she's also there's quotes from her in various books about Jim and stuff. And I think I think we'll see her at the memorial when we watch that. But yes, there are interviews and stuff out there with her. Obviously, we don't dive into like print media that often on this podcast, but I'm pretty sure you can find some more interviews with her if you search for those. But the exhibit itself here, this was actually debuted at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts in Lincoln Center in New York City in 1979. So it's already been going for a little bit at this point. But this is when it was starting to tour a little bit more. So this interview lines up with its debut in Minneapolis, which was October 4th. And so the exhibit itself had already been open, but this interview specifically is timed with the opening of it in Minneapolis. But the exhibit itself was developed by Mary Casel, who worked as a puppet builder at the Muppet Workshop and as a freelancer on Sex and Violence, and then joined them to work on the Land of Gorge puppets, and then worked on Emmett Otter, and then also helped create Miss Piggy for the Muppet Show. So very important person early on. But she was the one who helped sort of set up and design this. And fun fact, she studied at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm equally as important. Was her MFA project Miss Piggy?
I mean, if so, I think that's a pretty good final project. I created one of the biggest, most famous puppets in the world.
I do feel like if you didn't know who Miss Piggy was and you walked in and saw just like a beautiful, sexy pig puppet, you'd be like, oh, okay, what am I looking at here?
Yeah, that doesn't feel completely out of place for art school either.
No, it wouldn't be.
If I walked in and saw like a sexy pig puppet laying on a table, I'd be like, yep, checks out.
That makes sense, yeah. Got cleavage? Sure, why not?
Highlights of this exhibit apparently included a touch wall.
That's where the new Janice probably
was. I think it was, yeah.
She had boobs. You
Yeah.
can't be on a touch wall. And there was a butt, too.
But
Did you see the butt? You at least saw the butt, right?
I saw some foam
Not Janice's
lumps.
butt, a different butt.
There were some foam lumps sticking out of a wall, and apparently the point was that you were supposed to go up and feel the materials that went into like the construction
Feel
of the
that
characters.
butt.
There also was an audio tour with Kermit, which would
cool.
be delightful to hear. I couldn't track it down. And a lot of this also sounds and looks like, from pictures, that it's pretty similar to the exhibit Imagination Unlimited, which is the most recent Jim Henson touring exhibit, which Sam and I both saw when it was in Seattle.
That one did not have a walkthrough with Kermit, though, I don't think, did it?
No, and it also it didn't have a giant full-size Big Bird like this one seemed to have, but it did have a good mix of like Fraggles and Sesame Street.
I think it had
and Muppets.
Grover or something in there,
It had
right?
Grover, yeah, Bert and Ernie, Bunsen and Beaker. It had a lot.
Some Dark Crystal guys.
Yeah, there was some things there that I'm like, oh man, if I could go back now, I'd appreciate some of those
I know, me
other
too.
puppets more than I did at the time. Because I know the gas pumps were there from the old commercial.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, reading into this exhibit, there is a book that was like released in conjunction with this exhibit, just called The Art of the Muppets. You can get it pretty cheap, used online.
It's in my house somewhere.
Yeah, Sam currently has my copy somewhere in his house. But apparently they seemed like very concerned at the time when they were putting on this exhibit that putting the characters on display like this would take the life out of the characters. At the time, they were very concerned that like putting the puppets on exhibit like this would take the life out of the characters, that like showing them as just like pieces of felt in a box would maybe disturb some people or also just sort of remove the magic. So they worked very hard on the lighting and the staging to make sure that the characters still had some life in them when they were on
That makes
display.
sense in a way, but I feel like Jim didn't used to feel like that.
I mean, this is what they were talking about at the time, is like they were worried about this, of like just looking like dead puppets hanging out in a box.
Yeah.
So they made sure to like pose them so it looked like they were being performed. But yeah, that book is great. There's some amazing close-up pictures of puppets that you don't usually get like high-quality close-up pictures of, like Scred and Yorick and them. And looking more into that exhibit, it seems like one of the highlights, on top of seeing the Muppets, is that they had some fantastic merch associated with that exhibit, including like a jacket and some pins and postcards and stuff that you can find some of that stuff on eBay if you go hunting. But if anyone is near any of the museums, whether it's the the Museum of the Moving Image, or there's a museum currently in I think San Francisco. I don't remember which museum it is right now that like has a Jim Henson exhibit going. And I encourage anyone who is near any of those. Also, the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta. If you can get out there, see some Muppets in real life, even though they're not moving, it's a lot of fun to go get a look at them.
Is the one we saw still out there somewhere?
Yes, actually, the Jim Henson exhibition, Imagination Unlimited, is the full name of it. And that is the one that is currently at the Contemporary Jewish Museum in San Francisco.
Ah, let's go. That's our next stretch goal. San Francisco.
We've already
Disney
seen that
World.
one, though. We should go probably to
We got to go back.
Okay, so we got to go San Francisco,
gotta go
Atlanta,
back.
and New
Remember
York.
that from
We have to travel to like all three corners of this country.
Yeah.
We already did Seattle, so we got the top left. Now
Why
gotta
do we
get,
have to go to New York?
That's where the
Paley Center.
Well, the Paley Center and also the Museum of the Moving Image is where like the original
Right.
Kermit is.
Okay. Then, most importantly of all, Disney World.
To see Muppet Vision, that's the payoff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you get our Patreon up to $1,000 a month, we can start going to this Muppet road trip.
Wow, we could go to Disney World every month if we got $1,000 a month.
I don't think you know how much Disney World costs.
I don't. I've never bought a ticket to Disney World. My
The
mom
last
always
time
does.
the hotel and everything was like a few grand for everything.
Well,
So-
folks, you got your work cut out for you.
So we can go to Disney World every month.
Every
That's the
month.
goal of our Patreon.
We're going to move to Celebration, Florida. Me and Matt are going to get a little bungalow.
But getting back to what we watched this week, The Muppet Show. We're back, Sam. We're watching The Muppet Show again. It's been a while.
It has, and I was, you know what? Started off real happy to see it. Did I end that way? We'll see.
Well, we are starting out with the Carol Burnett episode, which aired on September 20th, 1980. I gave this one 4.5 stars, Sam.
Matt, I gave it 4.5 stars,
Look
too.
at that. We're in sync at the beginning of season 5 here. We'll see if it lasts.
I really wanted to give it 5 stars. It kind of fell apart at the end, I thought, though.
There's some stuff in here that definitely falls apart, but this episode did win the Emmy in 1981 for Outstanding
Okay.
Writing in a Musical Variety or Comedy Program. And to start off, I kind of had to ask, Sam, have you ever watched The Carol Burnett Show?
I have not. And when I was reading her Wikipedia page and seeing how many Emmys she won, I've seen commercials for it my whole life because they've always been like, buy this 6-tape deluxe edition of The Carol Burnett Show. Or it's on MeTV and like advertisements for it all the time. But I've never watched an episode of it. I know the Gone with the Wind sketch where she's got the big shoulders from commercials.
Oh, God, I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
I know she tugs her ear.
I know the
and it
ear
says-
tug.
and
That's
it means,
literally all I know.
Hi, Mom. But that's all I know. Yeah, me too. And she does Tarzan yell.
You know even more than I did. I knew about the ear tug, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And I knew that Vicki Lawrence started off on her show.
Who's Vicki Lawrence?
Vicki Lawrence played Mama on Mama's Family, which is a show
Oh.
I inexplicably watched a lot as a child.
Well, Mama's Family is a spinoff of the Carol Burnett Show.
Yes, because she
Yeah.
created the Mama character, I believe, on the Carol Burnett Show.
Yes.
But it was that thing where I always thought Vicki Lawrence was like an old lady when she was playing Mama.
I don't think I've ever seen her without being Mama.
I mean, she's like 73 now, but
Now
like,
she's Mama age.
yeah, she can play Mama now. By the
Well,
time,
this lady
she was probably
just
like in
looks
her
like
40s.
Carol Burnett also.
They do look very similar.
What the
I
hell?
think they actually played sisters at times on the Carol Burnett Show.
Uh-huh.
There was recently, I think, a Bizarre Albums episode. It's a podcast, for those that don't know, about Vicki Lawrence. And so most of my information that I know about Carol Burnett has come from that one episode of a different podcast.
I probably just thought Mama was Carol Burnett.
But Carol Burnett, as Sam mentioned, did appear in a couple of vignettes in the early days of Sesame Street. Very confusingly, we had seen one clip early on, I think in the very first episode of Sesame Street, where she comments on Wanda the Witch. And it's
Yeah.
just like, Wanda the Witch? What? And like, that's it?
And she's just
appar-
like a clown or something for no reason.
And we were like, oh, she must appear throughout this whole season, and like there's a bigger scene for her later. Not really, it turns out. She just popped up occasionally to do weird random things like that. So I don't know who that was for.
The kids love her.
But Carol Burnett also appeared in the first episode of Our Place with Rolf.
Oh.
That
Wait, did
we-
we watch that one?
We didn't watch that one. We only found one episode of that. Thank God.
Oh, yeah.
Because that show was awful. But it only lasted 9 episodes anyways, but she apparently appeared in the first episode with Rolf. So she has some experience with Muppets, both on Sesame Street and on Our Place.
I think after Our Place is when Rolf was like I got to turn my life around. And when he started learning piano, he was like, this isn't going anywhere. I got to try something new.
Yeah, he's on top of the world with Jimmy Dean. And then they were like, yeah, bring in the Jimmy Dean dog for our place. And he's like, this isn't the same. Where's Jimmy? But she will go on to appear a couple more times with Muppets. Most notably, she will appear in the 1990 television special, The Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson, which is a very touching little special the Muppets put together after Jim died.
She seems like somebody who would have worked with them way more.
Yeah, it does.
Like made an appearance in the Muppet movie or something.
Or like hosted Muppets Tonight or something.
Yeah.
She does seem like she could be an old friend of the Muppets. Mm-hmm. Speaking of old friends of the Muppets, Scooter getting the boot at the beginning of this episode.
I kind of felt bad for him. When I saw him a little bit later, I don't remember if it was this episode. Yeah, it was. When he comes and gets literally booted off the balcony. I was kind of like, oh, Scooter, you used to be the first face we saw every time.
Yeah, he felt a lot more important in the previous seasons, as now we get Pops. And Pops is just the doorman, checking people in here at the Muppet Show.
Jury's still out on Pops as far as I'm concerned. I like that the guest star gets a little bit more to do because they kind of are taking the initiative in the scene.
Well, and they can set up the plot a little bit more as opposed to just like, you're sharing your dressing room with penguins. Like, it's not just like a one-off joke. It's usually like setting it up a little bit at least.
Yeah, the quality is higher of the bits, but it could have just been Scooter signing people in at the beginning. I don't know why we had to get Pops involved.
Yeah, I'm hoping Pops will like earn a way into our hearts. But so far, like as you said, jury's still out on Pops. Pops is not our Muppet of the Week this week, even though this is his debut.
Pops as good in Muppets, Great Muppet Caper. I like him in that.
Well, we will judge him harshly once we make him our Muppet of the Week. And then we also get a brand new theme song, which to me looks and sounds worse than it previously did.
Okay, you mentioned this, I think, last time we recorded, that it gets even worse. It is not worse than this is actually like my platonic idea of the Muppet Show theme song.
Which makes sense because I think this is the one that gets shared a lot, like post Muppet Show, like when they put it on CDs and stuff. The version that has Statler and Waldorf singing the "Why do we always come here?" like that verse, that is the one that gets shared most often.
Yeah.
But something about it, like specifically the recording on the individual like lines that come in of like the women Muppets and the men Muppets who come in, the audio sounds worse on them for some reason. The selection
it's a billion years old and they just had to like dig it out of a drawer.
I'm saying it's like it sounded better to me in the previous seasons. Like this one sounded worse to me, and like then the selection of Muppets that they have and like the first group shot they show is like a weird group of Muppets. George the janitor still somehow ekes in there.
Isn't it the footage from the first season?
It's a little
or
different.
the second season? Is it different? And they still picked those weird Muppets?
The main big shot where they're all around the Muppet Show logo is the same.
They can't redo that. Too expensive.
There's a middle shot there between when they come in on their separate sides where it shows like 2 or 3 rows of Muppets. Yeah. And like that one's like a weird grouping of Muppets that I think is different from previous seasons. But yeah.
But when they're like, doon, 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 when they're marching in, that's a little different.
I believe that is all new.
Ugh, and they still put George in there?
Yeah.
What the heck were they thinking?
I believe it's all new because I think if you look at the side-by-side, I think there's a little bit different. The arches look a little bit different too. They like rebuilt those. And so, yeah, it's just, it's different enough that it's like an Uncanny Valley version that I don't enjoy. They've also made it skippable now.
Oh.
To be, like I'm saying, in my heart, I have never wanted to skip a Muppet Show theme song in my life, partially because I know there will be a unique joke or a unique thing usually mentioned in there. That's gone.
Wait, what do you mean?
We have nothing unique in each thing.
Except Gonzo.
I guess, yeah, we get Gonzo.
Oh, you're right.
We have no joke from Statler and Waldorf. We have no little cut to Fozzie on the stage saying a thing.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. I'm still going to cut, when we're done with the Muppet Show, I'm going to cut together the perfect Muppet Show theme. It's going to have a Fozzie joke. It's going to have Kermit introducing a person. It's going to
be
have
10 minutes long.
Yeah.
But speaking of Gonzo, He is our dance marathon host this week.
He's a star of this episode. I'm loving it, too.
I like when Gonzo takes over, and it doesn't seem like anyone gave him that power. He was just like, this is mine.
Yeah. Well, Kermit does kind of just say, Gonzo wanted to do this, and I let him, which is generous of Kermit.
Yeah, Gonzo is hosting the dance marathon. You know, dance marathons are sort of a TV trope, but also clearly already were at this point, because when Carol Burnett is told that there's going to be a dance marathon, she's like, ugh, that old thing.
Yeah. They're like a thing that I guess probably used to happen, but they happen in Gilmore Girls.
Gilmore Girls is the most notable one I could think of as well. But obviously there's like one in Grease is more of a dance contest than a marathon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I remember dance marathons from various media throughout the years.
There's a movie called They Shoot Horses, don't they? Which is about people it's like a dark film about people at a dance marathon who like need to win the dance marathon for various reasons.
Otherwise they'll shoot their horse.
I don't know why it's called that. It's in the movie somehow, but it's like people going wacko at a dance marathon because they're dancing too hard, which I kind of wonder if this is based on because that's from 1969. So I need to watch that and see if because what does Gonzo keep saying? Hoya, 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 or whatever. You know, he keeps saying something.
As he's like host persona.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's from this movie, but I didn't have time to watch it.
No. But I do like that immediately they start with some at the dance jokes, and I was a little afraid that this whole thing was going to be an at the dance episode.
I was kind of excited that was what the whole thing was going to be.
Well, and clearly I am the Kermit and you are the Gonzo here, because Kermit then says to Gonzo, this is just like our regular at the dance spot. And Gonzo says, yes, but it goes on forever.
That was a really, really great exchange. I like when Kermit mentions, or when any of them mention that they have like regular spots like that.
Yeah, when they feel like a show, they don't feel like this is just their lives. Like they feel like, oh no, this is our job. Like we are here. Like, oh yeah, it's time to do that thing. Carol Burnett is very hesitant to join in this dance marathon, but also she doesn't have a partner, which Gonzo resolves by pairing her up with Animal. Probably the worst choice Gonzo could have made. But I like that the snouts are dancing together in the background. Yeah. Manamana nowhere to be seen, but the two of them get to enjoy the dance competition.
They don't like Manamana, so it's better for them that he's not around.
And Gonzo notices that Kermit also doesn't have a partner, so he volunteers to be Kermit's dance partner.
Quite cute, except I feel like they break the rules multiple times in this. They're not really dancing with each other very much.
I feel like everyone kind of breaks the rules at some points. Like, Carol's clearly not dancing at some points with Animal when other people are expected to be dancing. And yet there's no point at which she gets kicked out of the competition. So
Carol Burnett also said that she was actually terrified of Animal, which makes sense because it is a grown man's very strong arm, like flapping around in your face.
There's a very good moment later on where he dips her and she falls, and I'm just imagining like how they actually did that, because like she's up on a platform obviously where everyone else is down below her, so there has to be some sort of like mattress airbag thing off to the side that she could fall safely onto, but it's like don't fall this way because you'll fall off the stage, don't fall this way, fall directly there.
We can't hurt Carol Burnett. Also, they haven't done a 1 2 3 dip joke in like 3 seasons, so they're really expecting people to remember the Muppet Show very well.
I think as long as they do it in a way that I don't think you need to remember it for it to be funny. And if anything, maybe they forgot they did it, and they just think, hey, you know what'd be funny? 1 2 3 dip, and then she falls.
I don't think Jerry Jewell forgets anything, is my guess. Except very basic elements of the background of all of these characters. So never mind.
During the first rest period, Carol Burnett is going to sing. And mid-song, Gonzo decides to change things up a little bit and make it a polka. And Carol rolls with it at first. This reminded me of when Beverly Sills was on and came on to sing opera, and Fozzie was like, Opry, Grand Ole Opry. Like,
she was a much better sport than Carol Burnett, though.
Yes, but I also found this more entertaining than I did the Beverly Sills one.
I really liked the Beverly Sills one. I think I remember.
I think you did, and I think I just thought it went on a little too long.
Yeah.
But with this one, I enjoyed because Carol Burnett gets extremely angry.
Yeah. She screams at them and like they're real people.
Which I enjoy. I like that it's got that energy to it where it's we've had that plenty of times where the host doesn't want to be there or doesn't want to do what they're being told to do.
Like George Lazenby does it in a bad way later.
Roger Moore.
Roger Moore, yeah.
But yes, we have seen that dynamic, but I think this version of it works really well where she does want to be there. She does want to do the Muppet Show.
She was so excited to be on the Muppet Show.
And they were like, oh, yeah, cool. Well, we're not doing the Muppet Show tonight. So sorry, you can either dance or get out.
They're kind of rude to her as well. So it's earned.
Yeah, like, again, everyone being bad at their jobs here. Like, Kermit knows he has a show to put on with Carol Burnett. And when she gets there, he's like, oh, yeah, I let one of my coworkers just put on a dance marathon in the middle of the show you're supposed to be doing. Sorry. We also find out that Piggy does not have a dance partner either, which is confusing. When earlier, Gonzo seemed to imply that, like, everyone had a dance partner already.
Did.
So here's Animal. But then found out...
Maybe she was late.
Maybe.
To get there,
I could see that. And
Kermit's given mixed signals in this episode. Because he also doesn't want to go with Piggy to her dressing room later. But it seems like Kermit and Piggy are not in love as of this season anymore.
That's the thing is I don't know that we are ever going to get a very clear answer ever.
I need these two kids to be together, though.
I think the clearest answers we ever really get are in the 2015 ABC series where they talk about being broken up and they actually talk a lot about their relationship. That's the clearest we ever get, as opposed to other times it's just like, well, you know, on screen is different than off screen, and yeah, maybe we used to be in love, and I think they purposefully avoid answering that question so that they don't feel tied to it too often. We see Link and Annie Sue are dance partners here, which is the first of a couple, Annie Sue being paired up with heartthrobs in this series of episodes we watched. But Link is asked the time, and he accidentally spills his wine on the floor, which is a pretty big party foul. But it does lead to the introduction of a character that I did not know existed.
It's actually her most famous character.
Turns out Carol Burnett had a character named the Charwoman, who was a janitor character. And yeah, apparently like her most famous character.
I think it was just her in a janitor outfit, though, right? She didn't have like a funny accent or anything, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so. But yeah, she comes out to clean up, and obviously everyone at the time would have recognized Carol Burnett's character. But
yes, but
I
for
did
us,
not.
it just looks like Carol Burnett in a janitor outfit.
Yeah, it was like when
but then
John
you
Denver
cut to Carol Burnett, and she's like, "Who's that?"
It was like when John Denver played his own grandma.
Yeah, but that was more fun.
Yeah, but it also was like I just assumed this was a thing for this episode of like they needed a janitor character and thought it would be funny if Carol Burnett played both of them. Nope.
No.
This is a character that is so famous that she apparently would use this character in a sketch to close out each season of her show. And she also once sued Family Guy for using this character on their show. She did not win that lawsuit because parody. But yeah, she did sue over it. So clearly...
I'm surprised she doesn't have a Funko Pop. I just looked it up. There is
give
no
it time.
Funko Pop of the Charwoman.
Give it time. Everything gets their Funko Pop one day.
Maybe we'll get Funko Pop someday. Wouldn't that be cool?
I mean, I think there's a lot of podcasters in line before us.
I know, but you said everyone.
I mean, we can also get custom ones made. That's something people can do.
Yeah.
When I looked up podcaster Funko, the only thing that came up, you want to guess?
No. What is it?
It's the character Podcast from Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Shoot, I should have known. I love that kid. And it identified so heavily with him.
Because his name is Podcast?
And he had a podcast. And he was this little doofus everybody hated.
Again, I liked almost everything in this episode, except maybe just what's next.
I thought this was okay.
We got a UK spot in this episode called the Poke Me Polka. It's just a bunch of random Muppets dancing around beating each other up as they sing about beating each other up.
This is exactly, it just occurred to me they've done this exact same thing with the line dancing skit. Remember that?
Yeah, they had the jug band doing an at the dance style thing and saying like, swing your partner, do-si-do, punch him in the face and push him into the ground.
Yeah.
So yes, it is very similar. But yeah, this is I think the weakest spot in the episode for me personally.
I think Carol's last song is weaker for me.
So yeah, what I like about Carol in this whole episode is I think mathematically this may not check out, but it feels like she is in the episode more than almost any guest star.
That makes sense.
Because she is in almost every scene, at least a little bit, and is highly, like, she's affecting the plot. She is very much involved in the plot throughout. A lot of times when we have these high-concept episodes, they do them in spite of the guest, and it feels like the guest is just off to the side of this other plot they're working on.
Right.
Whereas this entire time, Carol is trying to be folded into the plot and is affecting it in many ways. So I think that's, I do enjoy that aspect of it, which is like...
She's the antagonist of the whole episode, basically.
Yeah.
Guests never get to be antagonists, really.
No, and if they are, it is the like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
But she's just trying to like make the show hers and like work through what she can and like find those opportunities where she gets to perform. And she's got this like eternal optimism to her as well, that like anytime she's ready to leave, Kermit can convince her to stay. Because she's like,
got
you
a
know what?
Fozzie Bear energy in that respect.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, maybe it's not a well-placed optimism, but it does keep the show moving along. But speaking of that, this is around the time where Kermit has convinced her that she gets to do her Lonely Asparagus sketch, which, knowing everything else we've talked about Carol Burnett, could sound like a real thing that Carol Burnett actually did. It is not. It is exclusive to this episode of The Muppet Show.
They also name-dropped Julie Andrews, who was actually like really good friends with Carol Burnett.
It also feels like that's the only episode or like the only past thing the Muppets ever refer to is like the Muppet movie, and then Julie Andrews was here once.
Yeah. The only things canonically that happened in Muppets history were the Julie Andrews episode of The Muppet Show and the various times they've met Julie Andrews and the Muppet movie.
Yeah. It's always like, oh yeah, tadpole and a fish. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is the one set constant in the Muppet multiverse.
I'm okay with that. We've seen her so many times on this podcast.
Yeah. But I think she and Julie did like stage shows together and stuff. So they were actually like partners in a way.
So Carol is backstage now, extremely frustrated that she has not yet got to do her big performance as the asparagus, and Kermit tells her that they can't do it until the dance marathon is over.
Yeah, Kermit's playing a psychological game here.
Yeah, he keeps promising her things and then immediately pulling the rug out from underneath her.
Yeah.
But Carol decides to take things into her own hands and decides to exhaust everyone, maybe to death, to at least get them off the dance floor. So she is going to try and get them to collapse by performing I Was Made for Dancing, Leif Erikson, or Leif Garrett. Leif Erikson's the Viking. He's kind of in the next episode. Leif Garrett, the other famous Leif, sings the disco song I Was Made for Dancing and slowly ramps up the tempo to start exhausting these birds and monsters and old people who are dancing around her.
This is where it kind of lost me, because she does this for so long, and this song isn't, I don't know, it's just kind of like monotonous, which I suppose is the point.
Yeah, and I think for me it falls off the ledge a little bit after this, but it does, I think, go on a little too long, and like you get the joke pretty quickly, and it takes a long time to get the other people to like collapse and for her plan to actually pay off. And because it just is like repetitive, it doesn't get like funnier as she keeps going.
Yeah.
It just keeps happening more.
It's kind of fun when she screams singing at Animal Who Won't Fall Down, but it takes a while to get to that point.
But after that, unfortunately, we are still out of time, and still Carol Burnett does not get to do her Lonely Asparagus performance because now the show's over, and we have to reveal the winners of the dance contest, who are apparently dance robots.
Robots.
Invented by Bunsen, who
Yes.
I don't think we saw at all in this episode.
No.
I don't think we saw them dancing in the background or anything, but apparently they won. And Gonzo decides no one can win then because robots can't win dance marathons. We all know that. That's a rule.
Yeah, of course. It's laid down in the official dance marathon rules.
Yeah, the Airbud Treaty of 1996. After they established that dogs can't play basketball, they went in and added a bunch of other rules, and one of them,
Yeah. It's
robots
like,
can't
we're
win
gonna
dance
have to cover
marathons.
every eventuality now. The floodgates are open.
That is it for the Carol Burnett episode of The Muppet Show. Overall,
Yeah.
pretty good. I think we talked more negatively about it than we maybe felt about it, because I think it's a really good time. I think it's a
hard one to talk about, but it really just kind of like it all just goes down smooth.
Yeah, whenever they do a concept episode where there's a theme, it's hard to break it down necessarily into like this scene, then this scene, then this scene. But no, overall, a real good time. And for me, again, the UK spot was the only weak spot.
And when I was done, I was like, season 5 kicks ass. This is going to be so fun.
And then on September 27th, 1980, the Muppets aired the Roger Moore episode of The Muppet Show, which is maybe a little lower on your ranking list there, Sam.
Yeah, I gave this one 2 stars.
I gave it 3 because there were a couple highlights for me, but I think, yes, overall, a 2 to 3 seems pretty fair. I actually wanted to mention before this, on September 23rd, 1980, we got another Jim's Red Book journal entry that just says, "Meet Trevor Jones, loved him."
Who's that?
So this guy does the score for The Dark Crystal.
Oh,
so that's
yeah.
why
We talked about him last time, I think.
We did not.
He loved somebody else then, an editor. He loved an
yes,
editor.
That's Jim's thing is apparently when he meets people to work on these movies, he'll write like, met this guy, loved him, met this guy, loved him, which...
what if he doesn't like him?
I don't think they make it in the journal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think... Or if they did make it in the journal, they didn't make it onto jimsredbook.com because he didn't write like, met Carol Burnett, hated her. But yes, this guy will go on to do the score for The Dark Crystal. He also did The Last of the Mohicans, Notting Hill, Labyrinth, and 2002's Crossroads with Britney Spears.
What the hell?
Yeah, the score for those is quite different, in fact. So he's showing his range.
If you went back and listened to it, it was exactly the same score. You're just like, oh, okay. I guess I see the connection now.
For me, that's like anytime I watch The Wiz.
Yeah.
It's directed by Sidney Lumet.
Mm-hmm.
Screenplay by Joel Schumacher.
What?
Yes. And produced by Rob Cohen.
Who's that?
He directed the first Fast and the Furious movie.
What?
Yeah.
That's very
he also directed
exciting.
Dragonheart.
Oh, no.
But yeah, Rob Cohen and Sidney Lumet and Joel Schumacher, the 3 men you really look at and say, they should make The Wiz. Should we have watched The Wiz? It's not very Muppety, but there's some like kind of puppety characters in that.
I was wondering earlier if we should watch Return to Oz. Should we watch
that feels maybe even a little bit more, because it feels so like labyrinthy.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's our special like.
Maybe on our birthdays we can watch The Wiz and Return to Oz. Because we're both such big Wizard of Oz fans, Matt. That's one thing about us.
Everyone knows that. But getting back to Roger Moore, I did give this episode 3 stars. Are you a James Bond guy?
No, I don't think so. I probably like everybody our age went to all of the, maybe not all of, a lot of the ones with, I don't know. I want to say Hugh Grant, but I know that's not who it is.
Definitely not. I think you're talking about Daniel Craig or
No.
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce. I've seen a lot of the Pierce ones and played GoldenEye on Nintendo 64. And I think that's a pretty common amount of James Bond fandom for 30-something-year-old men, right?
Yeah, I think maybe 40, 50-something-year-old men, maybe more so.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people our age aren't necessarily deep in James Bond, but I feel like a lot of guys who are like 10 years older than us are into James Bond. I have seen like maybe 4 Bond movies, and they're all sort of like random ones.
Yeah.
And I just have no affinity for the man or his movies.
I've never seen a Roger Moore Bond movie, except I've seen half of Live and Let Die because I liked the theme song, and then I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. We got a big box set of all of them.
Yeah.
For just to watch them because we were like, what a big blind spot in our movie watching, and then we watched Dr. No, and we were like, that kind of sucked, and we haven't watched another one since.
I feel like you might like Moonraker, which is one of the handful I've seen because they
That's
go to
supposed to
space.
be the worst one.
Yeah, but they go to space, and Jaws is in it.
But also, you know what I do like? Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Austin Powers, baby.
Yeah, and he's like, sort of James Bondy. I know he's supposed to be, but he's not.
He took James Bond's place in my heart.
I also, obviously, GoldenEye on the 64 is my biggest experience with James Bond.
Yeah.
So
I think GoldenEye is probably the only movie I've seen more than once as well.
The Brosnan ones run together for me, honestly. So the Daniel Craig ones, I know I've seen 2 of those, but I don't know which 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, not a James Bond guy. Neither of us really are. So I don't have a lot of affinity for Roger Moore coming into this, and he doesn't do a lot to win me over.
It is kind of cool that he was James Bond when he was on the show.
That is cool. Like, thinking about how famous people are when they are on the Muppet Show is one thing, because some of these people were famous 20 years before they were on the Muppet Show, and they're not super famous anymore.
Most of the people are like that.
A lot of them, yes. But then you have people...
Elton John was kind of in like a slight career dip when he was on the Muppet Show.
But not as much as others. Like, some people who were like famous in like 1955 are coming on here like, remember me!
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, he is maybe the weakest point of this whole episode is Roger Moore's performances in this episode.
He is someone who's not barely in this episode at all.
Which is probably for the best, because if we're talking about comedic timing with Carol Burnett and how great she is, Roger Moore has like the negative energy version of that.
Yeah.
He sucks the jokes out of the room.
When one of your lines is, I've trod in a pie, that you should be selling that. You should be laughing so hard at him saying, I trod in a pie.
Yeah, no, he gets some bad writing for him too. And I don't know if this is like him coming up with what he thinks are funny lines and suggesting them, because I know that happens on SNL sometimes, where like a host will come in and like, I don't want to say that. I'm going to say this instead. And they're like, okay, you're the only one who looks bad here. So I don't know, because there's just a few moments throughout this episode where I'm like, he's not great at this. Like, he's maybe a fine Bond, but as far as comedic timing and selling some of these lines, not great.
Yeah. Which is why, okay, so I have a new segment for the show, which is called How I Would Have Fixed It. And how I would have fixed this...
I think we've been doing that segment since day one,
It's official
Sam.
now, though.
Okay.
How I would have fixed this, introduce the spies from the very beginning. And they're trying to sabotage him the whole time, you know?
That is a strong, that's a much stronger idea, and I think keeps that theme going throughout, as opposed to just like this looming threat of spies that are sort of mentioned but are accidentally pies, and it just kind of muddies the waters a little bit.
Yeah. It is also muddy that he is basically James Bond also. Like, it can't decide if he's James Bond or Roger Moore, which is not usually the case with the Muppet Show.
We had that a little bit with Peter Sellers of like, you're never going to meet that real man.
But that's almost Peter Sellers' whole thing.
Right, but I think this is like the mystique around Roger Moore is more exciting if he is James Bond, because most people want him to be James Bond. And so if he's just like a granddad in there in like a cardigan, like people are going to be like, this isn't what I came here for. So, I mean, they could have leaned into that of like Roger Moore's just like an old man who wants to settle down and have a cup of tea by the fireplace, and everyone's like, come on, be Bond, go be Bond.
That would be fun.
But he was also, only like in his 50s at this point, so maybe he was not wanting to play the old man.
No, and he is still James Bond for 5 more years.
Yeah.
He's got to be young and sexy.
The Broccoli's probably didn't want him to play an old man yet.
Oh, yeah, you can feel the Broccoli's fingers all over this, can't you?
Yeah. Make him cool, make him sexy. We're not going to replace him yet.
And also, my favorite song is Talk to the Animals from Dr. Dolittle. I'm Mr. Broccoli. He must sing it.
We open this show with a impressive musical number of some Vikings. Getting back to, Leif Garrett. Performing
Leif Garrettson.
In the Navy. One of the Leafs is probably present here. We don't get named Vikings in this, but they do perform in the Navy. The song by the Village People. This is a very impressive number that apparently took a day and a half to film.
Which is, it's impressive, but is it really a day and a half to film impressive?
Yeah, I don't know if that's just like, they didn't have a lot of room to build all these different sets or something, and they had to like build these things because, knowing that they usually film the entire Muppet Show in just a few days, but yet this took half of those days, doesn't necessarily seem worth it. But I do like that the ship is alive. Like,
I like that too. The
ship
boat singing was very cool.
Yeah, because it also is like trying to figure out how that's working. Like if somebody's arm is up in that ship, or if there's like a rod.
How in the boat are they?
Yeah. They have become boat. They are part of the boat now. But there's also at the very end of it, like 20, 30 puppets all in one boat.
That's true. I always forget that there aren't 20 and 30 Muppeteers all the time.
Right. And like even, if everyone's doing 2, there's still 10 to 15 people or whatever underneath that boat with both their arms up in the air, waggling around.
Something I noticed last episode? There's 2 women now.
I think as far as Muppet performers, I think we have 2 or 3 full-time women performers working on the show right now.
Good. It's the 80s. It's time.
Yeah, because we got Kathy Mullen, Louise Gold are both there full-time. And I think like Karen Prell has featured a few times. So like Kathy Mullen and Louise Gold are at least the 2 full-time ones that we're hearing in pretty much every episode at this point. But I know we also have Betsy Bedos and Karen Prell showing up in this episode.
Okay, because we had a song last time where there's one skit with 2 women singing, which is like unheard of.
Yes, no, they are, finally getting better in the 80s by including more than one woman at a time in their show. Then we find out about the mix-up of Beauregards, of pies and spies. And to be fair, Scooter also partially responsible for this mix-up.
Yeah, maybe Kermit also because he wasn't speaking clearly.
Yeah, but you gotta ask follow-up questions, Scooter. If Kermit says we gotta use pies, and you're like, okay, did you say pies? And he's like, oh no, I said spies. He's like, oh, okay. Problem solved.
Good question. Okay, did you say pies?
Yeah, you just hear somebody say use spies, and you're like, all right, bye. And you walk away.
But saying use spies is a weird way to say that also. We got to have a number with spies. Right? Like,
yeah, that'd be much clearer. So it's also on Kermit. Yeah, you're right.
Use spies.
But Kermit tells Beauregard to toss the pies away, and of course he does, rocking Kermit in the face with a pie from off stage.
But also, I was set up then to anticipate there being pie-based humor throughout the whole episode.
I mean, you could count pie-based humor as Roger Moore stepping on a pie.
Oh, he does trot in a pie. That's true.
But that is like the only other pie joke we get.
Yeah.
But Kermit, after being rocked with a pie in the face, comes out to introduce the next number, which is Roger Moore and Miss Piggy performing in a fancy 80s apartment together. And this is one of the first real problems I have with Roger Moore is when Piggy starts to seduce him and starts singing On a Slow Boat to China to him. He looks right into the camera and says, I can't believe she's singing to me.
Yeah. What the fuck was going on with this skit? Where he's like, I forgot I'm on the Muppet Show.
Right.
Or like they wrote it this way and it's like this is on stage? Why? Everybody loves Miss Piggy.
Well, and it's like, is it because she's a puppet? Is that what he's referencing? Or is it because it's weird for like a woman to start singing to you if she's seducing you?
Or because she's a pig.
Right. Like, what is the joke of, I can't believe she's singing to me? It's like, okay, we can. We've her do this every week.
5 seasons of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's bizarre because I don't understand what the joke is there, and they cut into it so he has a close-up so he can land it, and I don't get it.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing is just him being uncomfortable with her being there in a way that it doesn't feel like it's the show, and in a way that it's not funny.
Well, and especially when the payoff to the whole sketch is that he's actually got a date tonight with Annie Sue, which is maybe a little creepy if you think about the fact that every other time we've had Annie Sue on the show, it's like basically she is the younger version of Piggy who is more desirable. And so this is, potentially Roger Moore going like, yes, this 30, 40-year-old pig, not my style. I'm going to go out with this 20-year-old pig.
You think Miss Piggy's 40 years old?
I could see her being like 36, 37 maybe.
Yeah, she's alarmingly close to 40.
She's very concerned about how close to 40 she is.
She's at the age where she starts just saying she's 35 forever.
Yeah. Yeah, Uncle Deadly's the only one who knows the truth.
Yeah. But you didn't tell him. He says he's 35 too.
He's easily 87. But yeah, there's a lot about this sketch that doesn't work. Mostly it's in Roger Moore's like performance of it. I think Frank Oz is performing his ass off.
He's great
in this, and thankfully we get to see some behind the scenes of this sketch in the Muppets and Men documentary, where you get to see Frank Oz shoved underneath that couch, performing as Miss Piggy. It's
just always 10,000 times more fun when the guest is in on it instead of resisting it.
Or if they're resisting it in a comedic good way, like that can work. But this is just a middle ground where it's like, I'm supposed to say I don't like this now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, we all know. Like, you don't have to point that out. like every line he's performing, I can just feel him being like, haha, watch this. And then he does trot in the pie.
Trot on the pie.
Post that sketch.
He also says use pies. Who says that?
They got to land the joke. They got to try. They get like 4 attempts to land this use pies joke. And then we get our old fish creep, New Zealand.
Yeah, and
here.
He's also an act stealer.
He is basically doing Marvin Suggs' act, except he has, a bunch of fish dying on stage because they're not in water, and he's squeezing them to perform You Light Up My Life. Horribly out of rhythm. It's a horrible performance all around, and thank goodness he is pulled off the stage by Piggy, who agrees that this is a terrible performance.
Yeah. She's the only one with any taste.
And I do think when she says, "Listen, fish creep," it's one of my favorite things I've ever heard Miss Piggy say.
Yeah. And the most accurate thing she's ever said.
He is the fish creep of the Muppets.
Yeah. And now Marvin Suggs is going to be after his ass. New Zealand's going to turn up dead.
Beaten in the head with a mallet. I wonder who could have done this.
Yeah.
And we get a new thing happening here in this UK spot. We've seen a couple things like this before, but this is the first time they've, I think, done this so blatantly and for so long. The UK spot is just a Muppet Show orchestra instrumental. And, the whole orchestra, including the newly found Lips, are just hanging out playing a song called How High the Moon, and they just play for 2 minutes. That's all that happens.
And then they do it again.
Next episode, with Shirley Bassey. I enjoy it.
This song's kind of a bop, though.
Yeah, I really, this was a nice little breather. I feel like using the UK spot as this nice little reset was good. I think there are times when the UK spot is the worst thing in the episode, so at least it's not that.
Yeah, and you can kind of put yourself in the audience listening to this little musical interlude and being like, that was fun. I wonder what they're doing next, and maybe just chatting and eating some popcorn while they're doing this thing.
Yeah, I don't know how prevalent this format is. If this is a new thing, like every other show, we're going to get a Muppet Orchestra performance. But yeah, I don't mind it at all.
They were just bored of doing UK spots, I guess.
Yeah, we're putting way too much effort into this thing that only one country sees.
Yeah, we could just knock 15 of these out right now. We're all set up.
Yeah, just play that record and we'll lip sync to every song.
Yeah. They got a name Trumpet Girl, and apparently I'm looking at it. Her name is Dolores, and Rashida Jones decided that.
Yeah, but it's Trumpet Girl who now plays the trombone.
Yeah, which is also... She's the most disrespected musician in Muppet Show history.
That might be true. As soon as Lips comes in, they're like, yeah, you're demoted. You don't even get to be your namesake anymore.
Yeah. You're just girl now.
But then it's time for Bear on Patrol.
I think this was one of my least favorite sketches I've ever seen on The Muppet Show.
Wow. Want to expand on that a bit?
It's so clumsy. I couldn't even really tell what was going on. Mostly, is it? The traveling salesman with the handcuffs comes in, and then he and Fozzie just kind of stumble over each other for a minute, 30 seconds, and then the traveling salesman steals all their stuff. And none of it is explained. None of it is good puppeteering or anything. Yeah,
and I think the story is the weakest point because, as you said, the whole thing is that Link is waiting for a wig salesman.
Yeah.
He's waiting for somebody to bring him a new toupee so that he can replace his bad one. And then a guy shows up who he just assumes is a wig salesman, but is actually
also a salesman.
But a handcuff salesman who is coming to a police station to sell them handcuffs that don't work. And so there's just a lot of logical leaps you got to make.
But then who also is a thief and steals all their stuff?
Yes, not actually a handcuff salesman. He's actually just a thief who goes in, handcuffs cops, and steals their stuff.
But what's to steal at a police station?
I don't know. It looks like he stole a book or something, and
yeah,
some of their office supplies and their clothes. So yeah. I mean, if you got some cop uniforms, I guess you can get into some shit. But
I suppose.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he stole any guns or anything.
Yeah, this could have been one where they used the spies.
Well, speaking of the spies, Kermit makes a delightful little phone call to the Secret Service to hire some spies for his closing number.
Which I guess, I don't know. They've been in England too long. They forgot how it works.
He calls them, and it works, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because they show up immediately.
And they're cool, too. They're like these new frackles that are interesting looking.
To be fair, I found there's a phone number on the secretservice.gov website, Sam. We could call that right now and ask for some spies.
See if we can get some over here. The Secret Service isn't even spies.
But yes, they are a couple of cool-looking frackles. The one in pink with the giant sunglasses, specifically, looks like he's like a double spy to me. Like, it feels like he's a double agent. Like, if you pull off the hat and sunglasses and the costume, he's actually just like, I don't know, Beauregard or somebody underneath.
Yes.
Like, it looks like he's wearing a disguise on top of another disguise.
Mm-hmm.
But they then disguise themselves so they can catch James Bond, which is their real plot, apparently.
They're going to try to kill James Bond.
Yeah, which Kermit seems like not, okay with, but he doesn't do a lot to stop it.
What can he do? They have guns.
He's got multiple people on his crew who have giant cannons and explosives.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He could get Gonzo and Crazy Harry to take out those spies immediately if he wanted to.
Yeah, he's got homicidal maniacs like Swedish Chef and Marvin Suggs.
Yeah, Kermit's got a gang. If he needed to eliminate somebody, he could send them out.
Yeah. Someday it'll occur to him that he could run a protection racket, so he so choose.
And maybe that's what the Happy Time Murders is about. We'll find out one day when we watch that.
We'll have to watch it, yeah.
But then the spies disguise themselves. The best I could describe it is they look like carnival prize stuffed animals.
That's exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
They look like very cheap stuffed animals that don't really look like anything identifiable.
Kind of in a cool way. I kind of liked them.
They definitely look different than most other Muppets we have seen. And just as the action is ramping up, out of nowhere comes a Muppet Sports segment.
It really does. Very unwanted.
You're building up all this thing. The spies are in disguise. We're ready to kill James Bond. And then frickin' Louis Kazagger's face pops up in the middle of your screen. And he's just there to talk about the Dwight D. Eisenhower Memorial Cross Country Billiards Tournament.
Okay, which I think is funny. I liked the cross-country billiards. The look of it was interesting. It just bothered me so much that at the beginning he said he was on the salt flats, and then they're in the forest.
Yeah, it's the least salt flat looking place I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I think as we talk about this more, I'm falling towards your 2-star ranking that you gave this episode. But I'm also fully in the camp of disliking Muppet Sports as much as you dislike it.
I actually liked this one.
What? What's happening?
And that one of them makes this a horrible noise too. Remember that the one that Frank Oz is doing and just goes.
Yeah, I couldn't understand the plot entirely near the end there, where he's just screaming as he's.
Maybe Frank hates Muppet News or Muppet Sports too. He's just like, fuck this, I'm gonna scream.
Maybe he really wanted to be Louis Kazagger, and Jerry was like, no. I get to be Louis Kazagger.
No, nobody wants to be Louis Kazagger.
And then we get another surprising little sketch that I didn't expect to see in this plot line, because again, I thought we were ramping up towards this James Bond fight scene.
Yeah.
And we get a perplexing Muppet news flash where he's reporting on an international spy ring trying to sneak ridiculous stories into the news. And this one's about
unrelated to the spies we have met moments ago.
And this was about a black and yellow striped mackerel being elected king. And then the king arrives, along with Bruno.
With a mustache.
Yeah, who we will see next episode as the keeper of the gold. Very clearly the same puppet, though.
Yeah. In the same outfit and everything.
Yeah. But again, this Muppet Newsflash is another one where I'm like, it's like a 1 in 20 hit ratio on those.
It really is.
But finally, it is time for Roger Moore's big singing debut. As he Shatners his way through Talk to the Animals.
I don't mind it, though. He's such a big, silly man. He should have been being big and silly more.
Yeah, because all he does in this episode is he has the one bad scene with Miss Piggy, and then this.
And trods in a pie.
But that's right after the Miss Piggy thing, so that even feels connected to me. It's like,
that's true.
That's all this dude does.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did not love him as a guest. As far as this number goes, I think it's nice that Baskerville shows up.
And talks.
And and warns James Bond that he's about to be murdered.
Thank you, Baskerville.
Yeah.
I think last time we saw Baskerville, he was dead, right? I feel like he died.
He got an arrow through the head.
That's what it was, yeah.
Just right through the head.
Yeah. But I really liked how this one looked, and I liked that there was lasers being shot at people. That was kind of interesting he didn't have a gun, because they've not been shy about guns previously, but now it seems like they're like trying to tone it down with the gun thing.
He also, the only time he shoots back at a Muppet, he like points his gun off screen.
Yeah.
So you don't actually see him like shooting it.
Right. Maybe the Broccolis didn't want it. You know?
I mean, I don't feel like they're going to be opposed to this man shooting
gun
a gun.
Violence. That's true.
Yeah, James Bond, we've decided he's not going to kill anyone anymore.
But maybe they're like, James Bond doesn't kill cute little Muppets, you know? But who knows? But I like that he genuinely murders these guys, and he sings a song that includes the lyrics, "Once I've brained all the animals."
Yeah, again, I do enjoy the rewrites in the lyrics of this song, but at the same time, I think I'm gonna agree with you. This is a 2-star episode.
The 2 stars pretty much only come from the last act, in my opinion. Also,
yeah, no, I see it. Like the more we talked through this with like Bear on Patrol, New Zealand, the first Roger Moore sketch, like it's just kind of a bummer overall. Something about it is enjoyable. Like when I watched it the first time, I did enjoy it, but the more we talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I don't need to rewatch this one.
No. Then the end is weird too, where he's like, I only want to be friends with gross animals. Like it's paying off something that we haven't seen anything of.
Yeah, like the song isn't about him wanting to hang out with like, you know, cute and cuddly little animals. Like he's just talking about like general normal animals.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does not, like you said, pay off anything. It is not set up earlier. And the weird, disgusting animals include Lunch Encounter Monster, Beaky, Shaky Sanchez, Kuzbanian, a Frackle, some crocodiles.
Ooh, we saw Droop last episode. Remember that?
What was Droop doing?
He holds up the limbo rod.
I'm forgetting Droop already.
Droop was there.
Oh, man.
I promise you.
Can't believe I forgot Droop.
We all forget Droop eventually.
But before we move on to the Shirley Bassey episode, there is another entry, a very important, big entry in Jim's journal, just dated October 1980. I get glasses for the first time. That's it.
No.
End of information. But
That's cute.
I have never seen a picture of Jim Henson wearing glasses in my
I
entire
feel like
life.
I've seen one of him with like cheater glasses on.
That's what I feel like it's going to be like when he says I get glasses for the first time. I assume it's going to be like his readers when he's crouched up weird in his chair. But I have not seen a photo of it. I'm sure they exist somewhere. But if anyone out there can find a photo of Jim Henson with glasses, I'd be very curious to see that. But then on October 4th, 1980, we do have the Shirley Bassey episode, another James Bond-ish episode of The Muppet Show. And yeah, Shirley Bassey, we've talked about her, you know, Sam talked about her earlier, but she did launch into superstardom with Goldfinger after singing that song. And according to Shirley Bassey, she said, I wanted to have a fight with Miss Piggy. Trouble was that somebody else gave Miss Piggy a swift karate chop, so I wasn't allowed to. So I don't know if that means like the Miss Piggy puppet was being refurbished or something, because Miss Piggy is not in this episode. So yeah, I don't know really what's going on there.
We'll have to keep an eye out for potential damage to Miss Piggy for the rest of the season.
Yeah, because Jim's Red Book speculated that maybe perhaps Frank was out that week, but Fozzie is in this, and many other Frank characters are in this throughout, so I don't think it's that at all.
That seems unfounded.
Shirley Bassey was also quoted as saying that she was a little tired of Goldfinger, the song, at this point, but said, or rather I was until I did it with the Muppets.
Aww.
The comic slant they bring to the number gives a whole new lease on life.
But, well, it seemed kind of low effort to me. I thought it was a little bit weird that they even have her sing it, because I feel like a lot of times they won't have the person on doing their most famous thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's a weird choice, and it also is like, you know, a stretch. The overall joke of this episode is a bit of a stretch. I enjoyed it, but how many stars did you give this?
I gave it 2 stars.
Oh, wow.
I didn't enjoy it. I hated it.
Oh, I see. I gave it 3.5 stars because I thought she was much better than Roger Moore. Yeah, and there are things in here that I was watching and going, oh, Sam's not going to like this.
You don't know me.
I think at this point, I know what you like and what you don't like when it comes to Muppets. But it starts off with Pops greeting Shirley at the reception desk. And he's grooming a rodent, but she gets one of her, like, a lot of the celebrities get when they look at the camera and say, I can't believe what I signed up for. Waka waka.
I kind of liked hers because
Yes.
she was like, they told me this is going to be stupid, but I'm going to be even stupider, basically.
Yeah, no, I think she, if we're ranking those individual types of, like, look into the camera, what am I doing here kind of things, she definitely the higher level of that list. And then Lips makes his debut with the Electric Mayhem.
Was this actually the first time, like his actual debut?
It's the first time we're seeing him with the Electric Mayhem,
Yeah.
so
Right.
that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I guess the orchestra doesn't really count as the Mayhem, huh?
No, because Trumpet Girl, not in the Electric Mayhem.
And Dr. Teeth not in the orchestra.
No, replaced by Rolf. More classically trained pianist.
Yeah.
But they play Barnyard Boogie, which I thought was pretty great.
I kind of love this.
Yeah.
I like all their new 80s clothes that they have.
They're a little bit refurbished. Janice has a nice little dress, like a pink and black polka dot dress that she's wearing. Yeah, and I think we'll see some of the Muppets all get like various 80s changes in their clothing this season, but I think this is the first little glimpse we've had of that.
I kind of like Zoot's old suit.
He's going corporate now, so
Yeah.
we have to accept his new corporate lifestyle.
Kind of a Huey Lewis direction for him, huh?
Was Huey Lewis famous by this point? Sports came out in 1983, so...
He presages Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis takes a Zoot direction, actually.
Huey Lewis saw Zoot on the Muppet Show and was like, oh, damn, we gotta do that.
That guy looks cool as hell. He is kind of a Muppety. That's kind of a Muppety band. They're goofy. Huey Lewis would have been a good Muppet Show guest.
I think he just missed the timing. Like, he was famous just after the Muppet Show.
Yeah, he was back behind the scenes. He was like, I got to get famous while the Muppet Show is still on.
And he just missed his mark.
Yeah.
But he apparently, The Heart of Rock and Roll is performed on the Muppet Show on Tour 2nd edition by some walk-around Muppets.
Okay.
And then also, obviously, they're going to do It's Hip to Be Square on Sesame Street.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, because the square's a shape. But we find out that even though Kermit apparently wanted the entire set painted gold for the Goldfinger number, Scooter says, can't do that. I can get like a rust color.
That doesn't seem like Kermit's problem. Scooter should have gone and bought some gold paint.
This episode and the previous episodes maybe noticed that they're doing some pretty elaborate sets this season. The Roger Moore apartment, the dance hall for the Carol Burnett episode, and in this one, Shirley is singing Fire Down Below in a gold foundry. I don't understand why, necessarily, but this was the one where I'm watching this and going, I don't think Sam's going to like this.
Well, okay, so one thing is, they should have done this after they get all the gold from the guy. Because why do they have a bunch of gold in the act beforehand?
Because they have to set up that there is some fake gold on set. Because at one point, there's like a little like, wait, is this the fake gold or the real gold?
Oh, I must have totally missed the confusion over that. No, I hated this. It was so boring.
Yeah, I kind of thought whenever you have like, Muppet Show guest singing just around Muppets but not for any reason, that is what I go, oh, Sam's going to hate this.
On the Gold Foundry, it's just like not like a very evocative set, or like, why would she be in a Gold Foundry?
It also finishes up with a very bad joke from Statler.
Yeah.
Where Waldorf says that was a great number, and Statler's like, thank you. And he's like, you didn't write Fire Down Below. And he says, no, but the guy who did just had a bowl of my chili, which is maybe one of their weakest jokes ever.
Is it one of their grossest jokes ever, too? Is his belly hurt or does his butthole hurt? That's the question,
I took it as belly.
But Muppet Wiki has it under toilet humor.
Oh. This is where we find out the bizarre set of circumstances where Scooter happened to bump into a guy who is transporting $50 million worth of gold bars nearby. And Scooter says, hey, can we borrow those for a while? And he says, sure.
Okay. But it's so put out. He shouldn't have agreed to it in the first place if he was going to be such a dick about it the whole time.
Well, I mean, Scooter didn't lay out the terms. He didn't say my frog friend will want to touch them. And so clearly, Bruno, not okay with frogs touching the gold bars.
He doesn't like it. Something has happened in his past.
He does not love frogs.
No.
But I was curious about the value of gold bars.
Yeah.
And so I looked up how many gold bars would it take to actually be 50 million? Because I was like, he doesn't have a very big stack there. Like, that doesn't look like 50 million to me. Turns out it would only be about 70 bars. Because each bar, at least in like today's world, if you go to buy a gold bar, it's like $700,000, which is kind of like, I understand gold bars are valuable, but looking at like this like bread loaf of gold and going, here's $700,000 in my hand is kind of wild.
That's way more than I expected.
Same. And that's why I looked up this fact, because I was like, oh, isn't it going to be like 1,000 bars of gold to equal $50 million? And no, it's like 70, which at the end, I think they actually have more than 70. So
yes, that she's laying on.
Yeah, so I think they've got 50 million at least laying around. But we get a Muppet Labs, which is confounding in a lot of ways, where Bunsen...
it's also really fortunate for them that this is happening off stage on this particular week.
Yeah, what are the odds that they, they apparently didn't have real gold earlier in this episode, but Bunsen was still working on a machine to turn gold into cottage cheese. But there's a little gross moment when the bar does turn into cottage cheese, where Bruno goes to grab it.
And smooshes
and
it
his
all
fingers
in his
just
hands.
sink in. His little Muppet fingers just sink
really
into cottage
gross.
cheese.
Muppets can't be touching goopy stuff except the Swedish Chef.
But even then, he's got human hands.
Yeah, that's why he can do it.
Yeah, you have puppet hands gooping into something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine how much he stank after that, too.
Just cottage cheese hands. They probably just made new hands for him if they're ever going to use them again. Just like cut off those hands and replace them.
Yeah.
The Kuzbanians are here and are great in that old school Ed Sullivan kind of way.
Yeah, man, I love that little spider guy who shoots stuff out of his head.
At the very end when his little legs are like bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah. And I was similarly picturing people in the late 50s, early 60s just losing their goddamn minds.
Oh, yeah. These two fazoos.
People in the 80s, we're over it. We've seen Yoda. We've seen E.T. Maybe we've seen E.T.
We haven't seen E.T. yet.
We're still E.T.'s to come, but we've seen Yoda. So we're not impressed by these puppets anymore, but we should be.
Some of my favorite old school Muppet stuff is all those Ed Sullivan performances and Scrap Flap and all that. So these fall right in line with that. And it's also nice because we haven't seen a lot of the Kuzbanians lately.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I don't think we're ever going to see them again. Like, I don't think we're going to see the planet Kuzbane ever again.
Well, goodbye, Planet Kuzbane.
Mm-hmm. Then we've got the other UK spot we mentioned previously where the orchestra just plays a song and they play After You've Gone, which is, fine.
This one's a little less cool than the last one. Song's not as good, I think.
I think it's not as good of a song, and it is also suffering from the fact that it happened just before this. So we watched an episode, we're like, hey, that's interesting. And then it happens again, we're like, oh, well, okay, it happened again. It seems like Fozzie in this episode maybe wants to steal the gold. He's so tempted. He comes to Shirley, and he does not have a sadness like normal. Like Gonzo or Fozzie in the past have been sad, where they're like, I'm no good at what I do. And this, it's like Fozzie's like, Shirley, I really want to steal.
I have a problem. I want to steal this gold.
How could I not steal the gold bars that are stacked up there? They're just backstage waiting for me to steal them.
Fozzie's desperate. We know this about him. They're all desperate. You can't put gold around Muppets. As we see at the end of this skit where they're like, oh, pennies, pennies.
I think this sketch, while not maybe like the greatest sketch we've ever seen, has the best selection of Muppets for the sketch that we've maybe ever seen.
Okay, why?
Well, early on in the Muppet Show, we would complain about like George and Mildred and all these people being out on stage doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They said, we're going to do a sketch about pennies dropping from heaven, and we need the most like desperate, sad group of characters who would come running if pennies were raining from heaven. And they said, I got this. How about TR the Rooster? How about New Zealand, Dr. Teeth, Rizzo the Rat, Beaker, Gonzo, and Fozzie? That is a all-star lineup
good selection
of the ones that I would expect to come running. If Pepe existed at the time, Pepe would have been in there too.
Yeah.
But this is, I was just admiring the Muppets that they chose for this. Because, like, if you had, I don't know, like, if Janice was there, it would have failed. It would have fallen apart
Yeah.
because I don't see Janice as falling
Money
into
grubbing.
this.
Yeah. But let's see. So TR, sure, why not? New Zealand, I don't feel like he understands the concept of money, but
You can
he
buy
looks
more
insane.
fish.
He looks great. You can buy more fish. Dr. Teeth loves money. Established. Rizzo, of course, Rizzo would be there. Beaker, grad student. He needs the money for sure. Gonzo probably just enjoys the pure spectacle of money falling from the sky. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Good job, Muppet selectors.
And then Piggy will sneak in later and sweep up all the pennies that are left over. But she wouldn't let herself be seen scrounging for them.
No, she would send Scooter to do it for her. Like,
That's
Scooter,
true.
go get those pennies for me.
Scooter is somebody who could have been there too.
Yeah, but he wouldn't keep them for himself.
You think he'd give them away? To Miss Piggy?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
he'd be sent there. And either Kermit would be like, hey, we need those to pay the rent. Or
Yeah.
Piggy's like, bring those to me. I want that money. And then we get maybe one of the weirdest Gonzo things we've ever had, which is
This
really
one's
saying
good.
something. But Gonzo is conducting Rolf on the piano, and a violinist is out there as well. But he also is going to duel Buster, a giant crab.
And they name him Buster in this?
Yeah, they name him after the sketch when he's talking to Kermit about it.
Oh, right.
And because Kermit's like, the crab's name is Buster? Of course it is. Not only does Gonzo start dueling the giant crab, but then the violinist is a double crosser and starts dueling Gonzo as well.
I think this was probably Gonzo's finest act of all time. His most successful one.
I mean, according to his standards, yes.
Yeah.
I
He
think-
was grievously injured, and he got to finish. So that's that. The bomb diffusion was pretty good too. But this one, I think he probably looks back on this with a lot of pride.
Yeah. But it's time for Goldfinger, which...
Not sung by Eartha Kitt, like I thought.
No.
You're right. This proves it.
Yep.
I watched her sing it.
But also, I am not familiar with a lot of Bond songs. But when you were listing off the other movies she has sung songs for, I'm just like imagining it's like Moonraker. Like everyone they gave her, she was just like, A View to Kill. Like, she's just singing them all the same
Guy who
way.
lives on the moon. It'll spell your doom. That would be really funny, actually.
I didn't watch this one before I sang about it.
He's the guy who rakes the moon.
Moonraker.
I love at the end of the song also how she's just like, he loves only gold over and over again. It's like, you didn't watch this movie either. I don't think.
Well, they probably don't have the movie finished by the time they need to get the song recorded. So they're like,
Yeah.
Okay, just be kind of vague. Talk about
Yeah.
gold a little bit.
But having only seen Goldmember and never seen Goldfinger, she's just like, I love gold. I can only think of beloved character Goldmember saying I love gold. Anyway, so they steal the gold behind her.
Did we say what we rated this episode? You said 2 stars.
2 stars.
I said 3.5, maybe.
You said 5 stars.
I
your favorite
definitely didn't say
episode
that.
ever.
But I'll stick with 3.5 if I had said that. Overall, pretty okay episode. But
You don't even remember.
I enjoyed parts of it a lot. But there's
She
other...
was good. In retrospect, you're right. She was pretty funny.
And the Gonzo thing is an all-timer.
Ah, gosh, you're right. Folks, I'm giving it 3 stars.
Bwah, bwah,
instead.
bwah. We did it, folks.
This last act is just so stupid.
Yeah, the
don't
gold
know.
member,
He's a
the,
bad-
the gold member,
Yeah.
Goldfinger performance is just Link and his goons stealing the gold while she sings Goldfinger. Nothing too
Yeah.
remarkable. Also, Kermit introduces it by saying like an entirely gold set. It is not.
It is clearly not from the second you see it.
It is all silver with a stack of gold in the middle of the room.
And if they're going to paint everything silver, they could have just painted everything gold
Yeah.
while they were making the
Yeah.
damn show. But I guess I'm not Jim Henson.
No. But that does it for our first 3 episodes of season 5 of The Muppet Show. Overall, a pretty strong start. They're swinging for the fences, building some big sets, and changing things up a little bit. So I'm excited to see what season 5 holds for us. But now it's time for our Muppet of the Week.
Surely it's Pops or Lips, right?
This week's Muppet of the Week is our old friend J.P. Gross.
I'm really confused about why this is.
Mostly, he's a Muppet we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, okay.
And we're not really going to talk about him in in context anymore in the future, so I figured we should probably get to him before we are out of the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
J.P. Gross is Scooter's greedy human uncle, who looks just like an old man with a mustache and bushy eyebrows. He is the owner of the Muppet Theater and the owner of Muppy the dog, who you gotta wonder whose name came first.
Muppy or Muppets?
Yeah, as far as did he own the Muppet Theater first? Did he get the Muppets to rent out, and then he was like, "Oh, I bought a new dog. I'm gonna name it Muppy." Or is that just a weird coincidence where he already had Muppy, and then the Muppets came to work for him?
Well, he was already a Muppet, right?
Well,
Muppets
that's a whole other, I think, canonical argument to be had of was he just a puppet that existed off to the side, and then the Muppets came to work for him, or is he part of the Muppet troupe who's making a TV show for us, Sam?
I think Muppets are much like in Lord of the Rings, there's hobbits. I think in this universe there are Muppets.
Gotcha.
And that's a race,
So this is just the person show.
Yeah, across the street, all the people go see the people show.
Yeah, all right.
And all their guests are Muppets. Mm-hmm.
All right.
People watch dog shows. The dog theater. They go to the dog theater to watch the dog show.
We've only seen J.P. Gross a handful of times on The Muppet Show, but we've heard about him a lot more than we have seen him. He's usually referenced as just a vague threat of somebody who owns the theater, who they owe money to. He debuted on screen in the Judy Collins episode back in Season 2, and he will go on to appear in the usual places like the end of the Muppet movie, the end of the Muppets Take Manhattan, and the 30th anniversary celebration where all the other Muppets show up. But JP will go to do more. He'll go on to do more after the 30th anniversary, but mostly as a whatnot background character Muppet who's not really J.P. Gross, because we will see him pop up in the Muppets Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, and Muppets Tonight. Mostly as either, non-speaking roles or sometimes performed by somebody else, so not entirely J.P. Gross. But he will be in the Muppets comic strip that was going out in newspapers. In September 1981, it was mentioned that his wife owns the newspaper chain that the comics are running in. And we will talk about those comic strips later on this year in an episode. But J.P. Gross also apparently got a full-body walk-around version of him in the Muppet Show Live, the touring show.
What year was that?
That was around this time as well. I think it was early 80s. But could not find any photos of a walk-around J.P. Gross, which I'm kind of happy about.
I've almost been a little bit sure that J.P. Gross was written out and that he is not intended to even be Scooter's uncle anymore. We're supposed to just forget about that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he is mentioned a handful of times throughout the years again, which we will get to in the fun facts segment here. But he was largely performed by Jerry Nelson in the early days when he was actually, a personality. But later on would go be performed by Kevin Clash and Alan Troutman on Muppets Tonight. So I don't know who performed him some of the other times. I couldn't find those credits, but chances are it wasn't always Jerry Nelson. As we learned a while ago, extremely strangely, his best friend is Trevor the Gross. The weird Gonzo replacement who happens to have the same last name as his best friend. Oh
my gosh. We must have talked about that.
Oh, yeah, we definitely did.
That didn't occur to me.
But, getting back to your point about J.P. Gross and his existence in canon, Jim Henson is quoted as saying, J.P. Gross was a good concept so long as we didn't see him. But when we introduced him in person, he was just too harsh. You didn't want to have him around. So
that's accurate. He's disgusting looking also.
Yeah, and the last time we did kind of see him in character, it was when he was sitting by the fire having all the Muppets sing for him.
Yeah.
It was very bizarre.
Creepy.
But apparently in a deleted scene from It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie, Kermit claims he inherited the theater from J.P. Gross, implying that J.P. Gross was dead. And even though that scene was cut, in the movie, Scooter says that his uncle used to own the theater. But Jim Lewis, who's a writer for the Muppets these days, and who wrote on It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie, was quoted as saying, "Dead? J.P. Gross? I think not. Highly exaggerated and all that. Why, compared to Statler and Waldorf, he's a mere child. No, I suspect the whole dead rumor was spread by his competitors or scurrilous writers seeking to please a network. Which makes me think that for some reason NBC said, hey, you need to imply that Kermit inherited this theater for the plot of this film. And so they made it seem like J.P. Gross had died and left the theater to Kermit to please NBC.
What the hell?
Very weird.
Why would they care?
Yeah, that's about it for J.P. Gross. We've seen him. He's gross. We didn't really like him at the time. What are you going to rate him out of 10, Sam?
I disagree with the concept of him even being a Muppet. I think he should have been a human. So by that standard, I got to rate him pretty low. I'm going to rate him a 3.
Ooh, I give him a 2. So, yeah.
We hate you, you nasty man.
We do not like him. Stay gone forever. But before we go, Sam, I need to check in and see, did you have any time to enjoy any non-Muppet things this week?
You know, it really hasn't been that long since we recorded last.
No, we recorded midweek, so what'd you watch in the last few days?
I don't think I watched anything. I watched reruns of Star Trek and Seinfeld. I've been watching Seinfeld all the way through again. Like that show. Season 3 is really, really good.
I watched a lot of that when I was on our work trip recently because it was on in the hotel late at night. And so I just kept putting it on.
Hotel too. Season 3, I think it's 3, has the overarching plot where Jerry and George are writing a script.
Is that season 3? Oh, wow.
It might be season 4. I don't remember which one it is.
I thought that was much later for some reason.
But every episode is like tied in with all the other ones, and it just like tells, it's like a movie almost. It was very fun. The rest of them aren't as much like that. They are a little bit, but that one just has like, we're on the one where where George and Susan are engaged, and that one's also good and tells kind of a story. That one tells a pretty good story too. But the one where they're writing the pilot is just so good.
I finished Stranger Things this season.
Oh yeah, me too. I watched that also. I forgot about that.
I think you finished that before we recorded last time because I think you maybe mentioned that.
Okay.
But I had not. So I finished it last night. I liked it a lot. I thought it was overall.
I feel like the last part of the last episode was a little bit like, meh, boring. But the rest of it I really liked a lot too.
I was on board, I think, the whole way.
Yeah.
But I also started the new season of Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, yeah.
Which is out. And, Shirley MacLaine is in it, which is surprising because I didn't realize she was still out there doing it. I didn't realize she was still acting. So, yeah, it's enjoyable. It's good so far. It is one of those shows that sometimes just has those frustrating plot points of, why are you doing the most stupid choice that you could possibly make right now? If you just did this thing, everything would be fine, and you're not doing that thing.
Does it still fundamentally misunderstand how podcasts are made?
A little bit, yeah. There's definitely like random recording lines on a phone randomly throughout the day, and then suddenly the podcast just appears, and no one sat down to edit it. So, yes. The actual podcasting part of it is glossed over quite strangely. But yeah, that's about all I've been watching this week and playing a lot of Portal 2. All right, before we go, we need to let you know what we'll be watching next time, and it's a doozy of one to try and watch, because we'll be continuing through Season 5 of The Muppet Show with the episodes that aired between October 11th, 1980 and October 25th, 1980. And that means we'll be watching the episodes featuring guests James Coburn, Brooke Shields, and Tony Randall. Now, all 3 of these episodes are not just ones you can find in full on Disney+.
Oh, damn.
The James Coburn episode has a Betsy Bird sketch edited out of it, but you can find that on YouTube if you go hunting.
Because she was too sexy.
Too sexy. That booby bird couldn't be on TV.
And butt as well.
The Tony Randall episode has one of his musical numbers cut out of it, but you can also find that on YouTube if you go looking for it. But the Brooke Shields episode is actually not on Disney Plus at all.
Oh.
But it is available on the Best of the Muppet Show Volume 8 DVD, which I have, and I'll bring for you to watch, Sam. But the last I checked, it was on archive.org if you search for it on there. They've got a couple of the fully removed from Disney Plus episodes available on archive.org to watch. As far as I can tell, it might be because the entire episode is themed like Alice in Wonderland. But, Disney does own like some of those rights, and other parts of it are public domain. So I don't know why this episode is not on Disney Plus. We'll dive more into that next week. But yeah, so good luck watching those episodes along with us. We will be talking about all of those next week. But we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to head on over to Kermitment.com to check out our Patreon or our Kermitment logo enamel pin. You can email us at mail@kermitment.com if you got any questions that don't fit on our Twitter. which is also at Kermitment Pod, where you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.